Hi everyone, I'm Dana and welcome back to Inverter Always. In last week's video, I introduced you guys to the DKN Plus Adaptor. It's a very easy to install and even easier to set up Wi-Fi option for all of your Daikin products, including mini splits, Sky Air, and VRV systems. If you haven't already checked out that video, go check it out now and then come back to this video because this is going to be part 2 that builds off of last week's video. In last week's video, I showed you how to install the DKN Plus adapter and how to set it up on either your phone or tablet, whichever mobile device you prefer. But in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to integrate that DKN Plus adapter with a third-party thermostat. All right, let's jump right in. All right, you guys, now before we get started, there's going to be 3 things that you need to make sure you do before you start the integration process. The first thing is going to be make sure you install the DKN Plus adapter correctly. In last week's video, we discussed how there are 2 different ways you can install this device, either through P1, P2, or through the S21 connections. In today's video, I'm going to be connecting to a mini split S21 connection. It's just a little mini split wall head. That means I don't need any field wire. I can go ahead and use the cord that was provided in the box with the DKN Plus adapter. It's a very simple installation. Now, the second thing you're going to need to make sure that you do, whichever third-party thermostat you're integrating with, make sure that you have an account created on that app. So for example, as of today, you can use Honeywell Home or you can use Ecobee, but that's it. Now in the future, there are going to be more options, but for right now, for today's video, we're going to be using the Honeywell T10 thermostat. It's a Wi-Fi thermostat. That is going to be our method of integrating. So we need to make sure we've created a Honeywell Home account, downloaded the Honeywell Home app onto our mobile device, and we're going to need to log in at some point during the integration process. So just make sure that's prepared. The third thing that you're going to need is you're going to need to make sure you download and have an account created on the DKN Cloud app itself. So it's called DKN Cloud NA. We discussed how to download and how to create an account in the last video. Make sure that you've done that and make sure that you log in before starting the integration process just to make sure things goes as smoothly as possible. Now, in case you're wondering, no, you do not have to integrate your third-party thermostat via Wi-Fi. However, that is the recommended option. The reason I'm so excited about integrating to a third-party thermostat over the cloud through Wi-Fi is because now, for the first time ever, we can communicate the room temperature and the set point from one manufacturer's thermostat to another manufacturer's indoor unit. We aren't going to lose any control. We're not going to lose any efficiency through the inverter logic, because as long as the indoor unit knows set point and room temperature, it can ramp up and ramp down perfectly. If you don't have Wi-Fi, or let's say you have a thermostat that's not compatible, so it's not a Honeywell Home thermostat or it's not an Ecobee. Let's say you have the Google Nest. We've talked about it before on this channel. I'm not a huge fan, but let's say you have the Google Nest. You can hardwire it to the DKN Plus adapter and you'll still have some control. You'll basically tell the DKN Plus adapter when you want heat, when you want cooling. It'll just close the contacts. Then the DKN Plus adapter, which I'll show you here shortly, will actually create an offset. We call it a virtual set point, basically, where every time it gets that call signal, it will just tell the unit to heat 3 degrees or cool 3 degrees. The cool thing about the DKN Plus adapter, though, is you can change how many degrees that you want it to heat or cool, which I'll show you here shortly. But bottom line is, no, you don't have to integrate via the Wi-Fi. You can just integrate using your thermostat wire that may already be pre-existing. So now that we're ready to begin, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add the wall mount unit to our DKN Cloud app. If you guys are not already logged in, now is a good time to get logged in to your DKN Cloud app. Once you're logged in, up at the top left, there's going to be 3 lines. That's your menu button. Go ahead and click on the menu button, and there will be an option for Manage Units. When you click on Manage Units, at the bottom of the next screen, there will be an option that says Configure Unit. Click on this, and it will take you to the Bluetooth screen. Now, before you go any further, you need to make sure in your phone or tablet's menu or settings, you have your Bluetooth turned on. And you also need to be standing next to the unit so that the Bluetooth signal can actually reach the DKN Plus adapter. Once that's all set to go, click on Search for Units at the bottom of the screen, and it will display any and all of the MAC addresses for the DKN Plus adapters that are currently hooked up but not configured. You can see here we only have one DKN Plus adapter that's hooked up and not yet configured. That's the one we just installed. Go ahead and click on that MAC address. Now it's going to take a minute, but it will connect to that DKN Plus adapter, and then it will take you to the next screen. Now, at this next screen, there are a few things that we would like to at least note before we go any further. The first thing is going to be the communications protocol. That you have Modbus and you have BACnet as an option, BACnet MSTP. And in today's video, you're going to ignore that. We are not using that connector. That connector is a totally different type of integration for building management systems, more on the commercial side. We're not doing anything with that, so go ahead and disregard the whole top 4 or 5 lines. You're not going to need any of that. The next thing underneath that, though, is the fallback algorithm, and this is somewhat important. If you're not going to be using the Wi-Fi and you're hardwiring your thermostat, this fallback algorithm is where you can go in and adjust how many degrees you want your virtual set point to be. I'm not going to go ahead and change any of this because we're using the Wi-Fi integration method, which means all I need to do is hook up the DKN Plus adapter to the Wi-Fi network. So at the bottom of the screen, go ahead and click on Connect to Network. And at this time, all of your local Wi-Fi networks will populate on screen. And from here moving forward, this is going to be very similar to what we did in the last video where we connected the DKN Plus adapter in my garage to my app. Basically, just click on your Wi-Fi network, type in your password, it will automatically connect, and then you are all finished adding the wall mount unit to the app. Now, there are a few additional steps that you can go through here, like giving your unit a name, selecting an icon, and putting it with a group. So if you've got multiple DKN Plus adapters at home, plus you've got some of them at your vacation property, you can group them in different groups in case you needed to control all of them with one batch command or something like that. But this is totally preference. Once we've connected the indoor unit to our DKN Cloud app, the next step is going to be connecting the third-party thermostat to your DKN Cloud app. So once again, you're going to click those 3 lines up in the top left corner. That's your menu button. And then you're going to go down and you're going to click on third-party devices. When you click on third-party devices, it's going to take you to a new screen. And at the bottom of the screen, there's going to be an option that says Add Thermostats. When you click on Add Thermostats, you're going to have an option, at least today, of Honeywell or Ecobee. And again, this is going to be where you can go in the future to see if there are any other manufacturers added to the list, because the DKN Plus adapters connected to the internet, it will automatically update when there are more manufacturers available. As of today, we have Honeywell Home or Ecobee. Since we are connecting a Honeywell T10, which uses Honeywell Home, at this point, we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on Honeywell Home. Once you click on Honeywell Home, it's going to take you to the login. And here's where you need that account information. Go ahead and log in to your Honeywell Home account now. Once you type in all of your information, then it's going to ask you, do you want to allow the DKN Plus adapter to communicate with the Honeywell devices? Basically, yes, you want that to happen. That's the whole point. So click Allow. And then the next screen, it's going to ask you which devices from your Honeywell home account do you want to sync onto the DKN Cloud app. Now, in this case, we are connecting the Honeywell T10 thermostat is the only option on our Honeywell home account. So we're going to click on that, and then we're going to click on connect. Once we've successfully synced our thermostat to the DKN Cloud app, it will tell us success. Go ahead and click on that X up in the top left corner, and it will load the next screen. And from here, this is where we actually need to link the Honeywell thermostat with a particular indoor unit on our app. So here we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on the family room thermostat. And then after that, we're going to click on the experience room Amira head, which is the head we are linking with that thermostat. And after you do this, it will link them together. That way the app knows which indoor unit to control when that thermostat sees and gives commands. It will ask you at some point what you want the system to do if at any point it loses Wi-Fi communication with the Honeywell T10. And in this case, you have two options. You can tell it to use the thermostat hard wiring, or you can use the DKN Cloud app. Now, in my case, I didn't even take the time to hardwire the Honeywell T10 to the DKN Plus adapter. So if I lose communication with my Honeywell thermostat, I'm going to go ahead and fall back, and I'm just going to use the DKN Plus adapter as a normal Wi-Fi adapter for control. Once we've successfully linked the T10 to the DKN Cloud app, we're totally done at this point. You can click those three lines up in the top left, and you can click on Home to go back to the home screen. Now, at this point, you guys, the integration's done. It was that easy. It was that fast. Hopefully, you guys didn't have any issues getting through it. If you did, go back through the steps one at a time. So now at this point, you can control the indoor unit from the Daikin app. You can control it from the Honeywell app. And I'm going to show you here in a minute what that looks like just for context. But what I thought was really cool is every time we made a change on the T10 thermostat when we were playing around with it, we could go and open up the Daikin app and we could see the set point change. When we changed it from heating to cooling from the Daikin app, we could see the thermostat change. So it was fully communicating mode, on, off, room temperature, and set point between the two, because no matter which app we went in to control the unit from, all the data was updating on both of them. So you can really use whichever app you prefer. Now, there are a couple of things before I show you the operation of it. There are a few things that I want to let you guys know. The first thing is, in order to use a third-party thermostat, you have to provide that thermostat with power. The DKN Plus adapter does not power the thermostat. So, for example, our T10 that was mounted on the wall was already getting 24 volts from an external source. And that's why I didn't need to do any field wiring in my particular example here today. You guys will need to run at least 2 wires to your thermostat in order to power the thermostat. And then if you are going to be wiring in all the other wires, those would get wired in, RC, all of your contacts to the DKN Plus adapter directly. But that is important. I wanted to make sure I noted that. And the other thing that I noticed just by playing around with it, which you'll see here shortly, is if you want to control a ductless style indoor unit's louvers, so the wall mount has a vane, it's called a louver, shifts direction of the airflow, you have to use the Daikin app if you want to control the position of the louver. You can't control the position of the louver from the Honeywell app, because the Honeywell app has no idea that your unit even has a louver. It doesn't know that it's a ductless unit. So that's one thing you will have to do. But in my opinion, that's not a big deal, because all of your other third-party thermostat adapters require that anyway. So it's not really a hit on this. The other thing I noticed is if you want to change the fan speed, then you have to use the Daikin app. I noticed that when we were trying to control the fan from the Honeywell app, you have auto, you have continuous, and you have circulation mode. Well, those aren't fan speeds, those are fan modes. And unless I'm missing something somewhere in the T10, I did not see an option to change the fan speed from low to medium to high to extra high, etc., etc. I only had the option to tell the fan to run while it heated or run while it cooled and then shut off when it wasn't heating or cooling, or run continuously, or just put it into air circulation mode where it randomly runs the fan periodically to circulate the air when it's not calling for heating or cooling. So if you want fan speed control, you need to use the Daikin app. Other than those three key points, there isn't really anything else that I noticed that was related to today's video. So now here for a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you guys what it looked like while we were operating it from both the Honeywell app and from the Daikin app, just so you guys can see context-wise how it looked, user experience, how it felt. It was very easy for both of the apps. So you guys will notice on the Honeywell T10 app, if you're not familiar with this app, I'm not really going to be going through everything you can do in the app, really just showing you guys the general overview of how to use this. So you have your mode at the very bottom left, and that's how you turn your unit from off to heating or cooling or auto. You then have your fan mode. Now, again, that's fan mode. So that's where you can set it to be auto on off based on demand, or recirculate, or continuous fan. My preference is continuous fan. In case you guys follow the channel, you know I like to run my fan all the time. It keeps the room more consistently heated or cooled. You have right in the middle of the screen your up and down arrows. That's your set point, up or down. And then room temperature, real big right there on the screen. And this follows the general layout of the actual thermostat on the wall. So it's very user friendly. It looks like it does on the thermostat on the app. So it's not like a different user interface. You have your schedule at the bottom. I don't particularly like to use the schedule. The whole purpose of an inverter system is to set it, leave it, forget it, let it maintain. Maintain is key for comfort and efficiency. So I don't personally use the schedule, but here's where you could if you wanted to. Now, as far as the Daikin app goes, I was actually really impressed. I thought it was very easy to learn, very easy to use, very user-friendly from an information perspective. So you can see right in the middle of the screen, we have the current set point and the current mode. And you can see we're in cooling, or you can see the big blue arch that tells us we're also in cooling. In the heat mode, that would turn red. If we want to change the set point, there's two ways to do it. So you can hit the minus and the plus sign, or you can grab the little dial and you can actually scroll it around the arch to increase or decrease your set point. Very simple. Up at the top, we have two room temperatures. So you have the room temperature, which is reported by the thermostat, and then you have the room temperature, which is reported by the indoor unit return air. And even though we can't control off of the return air, you can at least see what the indoor unit thinks the room temperature is. So this was a very neat feature that I didn't know would be available. But the unit is controlled off of the room temperature of the thermostat here, which in this case is that 75-degree mark. You have your off and your on at the top, so you can turn it on and turn it off. And then you also have some options for your mode. Now, on this particular mini split, we had all of the other indoor units in the off position. And the way that your master works, who gets to pick the mode, the first one on becomes the master. Well, because this was the only one turned on, we have the option here to pick any mode we want. It's a nice difference because last week's video, I wasn't plugged into my master indoor unit at home, and so we were locked out of some of the modes. So here you can see that we can pick auto, cooling, which is what we're in right now. That's the snowflake. Right next to that, we have the sunshine. That means heat. And then we have the fan wheel. That means just run fan mode only. No heating, no cooling, no nothing, just fan. And then we have the raindrop, and that's your dry mode, your dehumidification mode. Same thing as cooling, but it ramps the fan down to low to try to pull a little more moisture out of the air. At the very bottom, here's where we get a couple of the things that we do not have available on the T10 app, the Honeywell app. So the very bottom right, you have your fan speed. You can see the little fan icon with a 1 next to it. That is low, or fan speed 1. If we wanted to click on that, we could change it to fan speed 2, fan speed 3. We could put it in fan auto. And then with your louver icon that's just to the left of the fan speed icon, here's where we can select our louver position, or we can tell it to swing, where while it heats or cools, it'll actually automatically swing the louvers back and forth to try to redistribute the air a little bit better. At the bottom left, we also have a schedule icon. So really, you could do a schedule from the Daikin app, or you could do a schedule from the Honeywell app. It's totally your preference. And again, you know how I feel about schedules. So that's pretty much all there is to it when you're operating either of the apps. Well, you guys, that's about it for today. I hope you found this information helpful. With a lot of these types of videos, it's a lot of information to pack into a short period of time. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm very excited about this Wi-Fi adapter, specifically just how easy it is to set up, both from a Wi-Fi only perspective from last week's video, and then also from this week's video here today, where we actually set up a third-party thermostat. It was super easy to do. I really am excited. I think that this Wi-Fi adapter is going to bring us a lot of solutions in the market. If you guys have gotten your hands on one of these, let me know in the comments below. How's your experience been? Good, bad, neutral, whatever. I'd really like to hear about it. You guys, if you have any questions, comments, ideas for future videos, please don't hesitate. Put them in the comments below. I read all of your guys' comments and I always do my best to respond to them as well. You guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please click the like button below. It really helps out my channel. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching Inverter Always. I hope you guys have an awesome day.